Good afternoon and welcome to the virtual introduction to the Wolf Convection Steam Oven. My name is Chef Ed and this is a live demo today, so I'm going to go over a few things with you. If you have any questions throughout the demo, just go over to the chat and go ahead and put them in the chat. We will then answer the questions towards the end, or if it comes up during and I know that I'm not going to answer it, I will answer it during the demonstration. So like I said, this is an introduction to the Wolf Convection Steam Oven. So we're going to go ahead and jump right in to what the Wolf Convection Steam Oven is all about. I know a lot of people, when you think steam oven, you just think of steaming and you're not going to be able to get that promote the crispiness of your food, and that's completely false. We're going to go through some of the modes and just let you know what it can do, some of the features, and some of the ways that you can integrate this into your kitchen. So first we're going to start off with what the Wolf Convection Steam Oven comes with and some of the pans right here. So first you're going to come with a rack. This does come in two different sizes. So you can tell we have the 30-inch cavity here. You can also get that in a 24-inch, and I'll kind of tell you the difference throughout the demo. You got the Easy Glide racks here, which your pans lift right out of. You got your roasting rack. Roasting pan with a roasting rack. Slide that back in. These also slide out. You have a solid aluminum pan. And you'll also have the perforated aluminum pan, which is going to be good for if you're doing any kind of steaming. It's going to allow that steam to come through. It will also come with a temperature probe that we will talk about here in a moment. That will plug in right here in the side if you got the 30-inch. If you got the 24, it's right on the right side there. So you got your temperature probe. You're going to have in your 30-inch convection steam oven, you're going to have dual convection, which will have a 1886 watt heating element behind the wall with your dual convection. With that dual convection, it's going to allow for airflow for multi-rack cooking. It's going to promote that even browning on some of those modes. With your 24-inch, which is a little bit smaller, it does have the single convection fan, but you still have the high power, and you're still going to be able to get all of the browning with the smaller one. So I'm going to go into a few modes here. So we do have the steam. So when you are steaming, you're going to have a temperature range between 86 degrees and 210 degrees on 100% steam. And you might think, where is the steam coming from? Well, you do have two options here for your kitchen. If you're putting it in an existing place and you don't have a water hookup, you can have your tank. Your water tank here you fill with regular tap water. This will give you 2 hours of continuous steam. You put that back in with your regular tap water, and you'll have that 2 hours of steam. So at that 210 degrees steam, it's like a pot of boiling water where you're going to be able to steam your broccoli, Brussels sprouts. A little bit lower down to that, like 180 degrees, you're going to be able to do steam something like fish, where you're not doing that full 210 degrees, but a little bit lower. And then when you think, well, what about that 86 degrees steam? What are you going to do with that? You can use that, say you forget to pull out some chicken breast earlier in the day to thaw out. You put it on your perforated rack, put it in here at 86 degrees. It's like running water over it. You're not going to cook the outside of that chicken, but it's going to promote a quick thawing of that chicken. So that's just the steam. Then you're going to go over and go into convection. And notice this touch screen. It's real intuitive and very easy to use. You can move things around. I'll show you here in a moment. So when you go into convection, that's going to turn your convection on and you're going to have dry heat. So that dry heat, no steam, it's just like your regular oven. You got the convection, so you can use multi-rack of cooking. That's going to have a temperature range of about 86 degrees all the way up to 445 degrees. So you're going to be able to promote that browning, that dry air temperature without any of the steam. So it's a second oven as well, not just the steam. You got the regular convection. You got a convection steam. That's going to be where you're using your convection element, you got that heat, and you're doing a little bit of steam injected in there to keep stuff moist, but you're still getting that browning because you're steaming above that 210 degree mark. So you're still going to get the nice promotion of the browning with the convection, but then you're going to have that steam in there to help hold in moisture so that you can keep the juices in your food, keep the moisture in, because that is all flavor. So we talked about the convection steam. You got a convection humid. What's the difference between convection steam and convection humid? The convection humid actually does not put any steam in the cavity, but it seals up your door here to where it's not pushing out any of that. So something like casseroles or some quick breads, banana bread, muffins like that, it keeps all of the steam in the cavity that comes out of your food to try to keep that moisture in your food, but it's not putting any steam, per se, into the cavity. So when you open it up, you'll see a little steam come out, but that's all steam that was in your food. You do have a broil unit. This is a broil unit. In here is a 1700 plus recessed watt broil unit. So it's going to be a high powered broil unit. You're going to be able to get that browning on your food with the broil, just like you would your regular Wolf E or M series oven. So that's a little upgrade here now that you have this broil unit in your Wolf convection steam oven. You also have a sous vide mode, so that's going to use the steam. If you've ever done any kind of sous vide cooking, you know you bring out a water bath and you have your immersion circulator and you have it under vacuum. So that's another place on your counter that you have that circulator. You're going to be able to vacuum seal whatever you'd like. Use your perforated pan. Put it in here. It's going to use steam. It's going to get it right to that temperature. And because of the airflow with the steam, it's circulating the steam in there, and you're going to be able to get rid of that water bath and circulator by using your Wolf convection steam oven and the sous vide mode. So that's another thing that uses that moisture in your oven to help with the even cooking. We also have a gourmet mode. So when we go into gourmet, if you've used any of the Wolf appliances, they usually have a gourmet mode. You know that they are chef-tested modes where they'll go in and actually test each rack, test each mode, so that it makes it easy on you. It takes some of the thought out of cooking. When you have all these modes, you are trying to figure out which one to use. The gourmet selects the mode for you, and then it'll tell you what rack to put it on so that it's easy for you. A lot of those modes will use your temperature probe. So this is where the temperature probe comes in handy. A lot of times it'll use this temperature probe to help, let's just say we're doing a tenderloin or something like that. Let's go into the gourmet mode and I'll kind of walk you through. So you got baked dishes, you got desserts, dairy, eggs. You can do hard-boiled or soft-boiled eggs right in your steam oven, which takes some of the time out of it. You don't got to get that water up to a boil or anything like that. You put it right into your steam oven, run the gourmet mode, and you'll have nice soft poached or hard-boiled eggs. All you got to do is shock them in that ice water and they'll be done. But when we go to something like the meats, you got seafood, poultry, sides. When you go to something like a meat, it's going to give you what meat you got. So you got beef, lamb, poultry, pork, meat products. If we go to beef, then it's going to go in and it's going to ask you, what kind of beef are you cooking? Do you got a shoulder, tenderloin, ribeye? But since I was talking about tenderloin, we'll just walk through the tenderloin process. Once I click on this tenderloin, it's going to tell me it's going to use the slow roast sear mode, where what that's going to do is give you a duration of time between 2 hours and 30 minutes and 4 hours and 30 minutes that you can choose from. You can also pick an end time. And you're going to be able to go in and you're going to be able to pick exactly what you want to do. So it's going to walk you through. It's going to have, then you have all these settings. So it's using slow roast sear. It's set at medium right now. But say you wanted yours to be medium rare. You wanted it to cook for 2 hours. and it would be done at 5:09. But say you had people coming over, and 5:09 is a little bit early to be eating today. We could go ahead, go into end time and duration here, click on this end time, say we want to be done at 6:30. One thing's great with the convection steam oven is that you can set end times. So what this is going to do, it's going to tell me to go ahead and plug my probe in. Act like we had a tenderloin. I put the tenderloin in with the probe. If I go ahead and start, it's going to delay start to where it only cooks for 2 hours, and then it will be done at 6:30. Another great thing with the Wolf convection steam oven, with something like tenderloin, when this is done, it is done. What it does is it brings the heat up and sears the outside of that tenderloin, and then it will bring it down and slow roast it up till it gets to that 127 degrees that you have it set at medium rare. And then when it's done at 6:30, this temperature probe will automatically let this turn into a holding oven, so that if you end up eating at 6:45, you still got a nice mid-rare tenderloin or a ribeye or whatever you're cooking, to where you don't have to worry about it overcooking. The last thing you want to do, especially when you have guests over, you're cooking your side dishes, is come in and temperature probe that meat every 30 minutes once it starts getting up to temperature. With the temperature probe, it automatically does that. It gets it done at the time you want without you having to think about it. So it takes a little bit of that thought out of it, a little bit of that worry. I've cooked many times in here, many of tenderloins, and I've never had it go wrong. So going back, with this easy touchscreen and easy walkthrough, another cool thing that you can do is you can actually move your icons around. So say I wanted to move this sous vide over here because I use it more, and then maybe you don't use the convection as much as you use steam. You can move it down to the bottom. So you can move all these icons around, set it up the way that you want, so that if you use convection and steam all the time and broil, it's right up top. Another cool thing you can do with the Wolf convection steam oven, let's say you cook a piece of salmon quite often and you just want it to be a button that you come up and press. So say you like your salmon steamed for 12 minutes at 180 degrees. We can go in, type in 180, set it, hit this heart button, put fish, steam fish, set. Then you will automatically have your steamed fish. And then when you go in, all you got to do is hit start. If you wanted to change something on that, say you had a bigger piece of fish, you've been getting something bigger than normal, you just come in. You can then do a timed cook, temperature probe, or start later. So there's a few things you can do. So you want to change that time. Let's do a 15-minute duration. Hit set. Okay. So it's going to run that steam for 15 minutes, and it'll be ready to go on that steamed fish. It's great for something if you're heating up a breakfast sandwich every day, especially with the kids. They're ready to go to school. You got some sandwiches in the refrigerator. They pull it out, come up. You already have an icon ready for them to go. They put it on a tray, hit that icon, and it's ready to go. So that's one thing that you can do with your Wolf convection steam oven, is that it's already set up, ready to go. Now I want to talk a little bit about some of the other things it can do that aren't even in the Wolf convection steam oven, or that's in the Wolf convection steam oven that's not even cooking. It is cooking, but it's not. So there is a wellness setting that you can go into, that you can heat up your massage stones, your grapeseed and cherry cushions, all of that right on your Wolf convection steam oven. There is a sanitation mode. So say I have a little bit of carrots and peppers that I did here that I canned. You got a sanitation mode that you can put your jar in instead of dipping them in water or putting alcohol and trying to shake it around. It runs a 30-minute mode that you're going to be able to sanitize your jars, then pack them, and then you're going to be able to preserve them so that your dimple's down, you got your suction on your jar, and it's ready to go. Also, you can sanitize baby bottles in here. If you have a child, you're going to be able to put your baby bottles, line them all up, put them in, and sanitize them right in your convection steam oven. A few other things on here. It's very easy to clean. The convection steam oven, with that, I'm going to show you how you take out the side pieces. You got this one nut here that comes out, and then your whole side will come right out. So this comes out, you can wash it over in your sink, so it'll be nice and easy to clean. Goes right back in. One thing, you always want to make sure you keep this. I like to, if I'm going to clean this, I'll go ahead and screw it back on so there's no way that you can lose it. You can see that it's a little bit difficult to get to the back. So there is a steam clean mode that will actually steam for 45 minutes. And it'll steam the whole inside. So if you get a bunch of, you did a nice prime rib and that fan was going and you got some of the grease on the back, you're going to be able to go ahead and close it up. It'll run that steam process for 45 minutes. And then you'll be able to open it back up and wipe it out. Another thing that you can do, because it is hard to get to the back, even as a 6-foot person like I am here, is this door actually comes right off. When you have it, you flip these two things right here. There's two little, and then it goes up, and the whole door will slide right off. So once the door's off, you can clean the door, and then you could get in and do any kind of cleaning in here with a little bit of light detergent, something like some Dawn dish soap, and a non-abrasive scrubby. After that steam process, most of that stuff will come off very easily. Then when you want to go to put this back on, you just got to get this lined up here. Takes a little bit of time to line up. Once it's lined up, it slides right in. Sometimes you got to get over here on the side. Once you get the hang of it, it goes in pretty easily. What I like to do is bring it down first. I'll get it back on in a minute when we talk about this. But, so both your sides come out. Your temperature probe here is one thing that you clean by hand. You can use this temperature probe for anything you'd like, whether it be using it for fish, for tenderloin. Say you had a casserole dish that you pre-made and you wanted to reheat that back up to 170, 180 degrees. You put this on, turn on convection, you set it, it'll let you know when you are able to go ahead and it's up to temperature, it'll alert you. So that's one easy thing to use with that temperature probe. Like I said, just normal water to go in there. You can get it plumbed. So if you're going to get the session with the plumbed, when you do get it plumbed, you still have a water tank. But that's going to be used for the descaling. So one thing when you do put water in, and it's boiling that water and injecting it into this lit cavity, you got the 3 lights to light the cavity. What's going to happen is after a while of that boiling of the water, you're going to have to run a descaling solution. Your machine will let you know that you need to run the descaling solution. It will, you can run the descaling solution right away. You put the descaling solution in the tank. It runs a process, walks you through the process. It goes in. It never goes in the cavity. It's just on the inside boiler where it descales all of that. And it will then clean the inside. You take it out, replace the water. If you have a water bottle, you just fill your tank back up after you rinse out the descaling solution. If you have a plumbed, it will automatically do it. So that is one thing of maintenance that you will have to do, is you will have to do a descaling solution every once in a while. I think it's roughly about every eight months to a year you got to do that. And when it comes up, you don't have to do it right away. You can pause it so you're not losing the capability of using your steam oven. You can then say you want to do that later and use it and then do the descaling whenever it is you have time to do that. Another thing that is great in the Wolf Convection steam oven that I didn't really talk about is bread and pastries, because it has that introduction to the steam. When you go to cook bread, a lot of times it'll tell you to spray the bread or put some ice under it or water to try to create that nice crust on your bread. With the Wolf Convection steam oven, bread and pastries, it has this auto steam bake where it'll start by steaming your dough and then turning the steam off, moving over to that high heat convection to where you get a nice dough on there. Also, it will have multiple modes. So you can either do a puff pastry, a flour dusted bread, or a traditional bread that isn't flour dusted. So you got a couple different modes that you can pick from. And this really allows you to get into your baking of the breads, whether it's sourdough, baguettes, dinner rolls, everything that bread is going to turn out a lot better in your Wolf Convection steam oven, because you have that introduction of steam without having to try to open it up, spray a little water in there, or give it that egg glaze to try to glaze the top of your puff pastry. That water is going to do it for you. So it really helps and promotes that browning and that nice thick crust on any of your breads that you're going to make. So bread making's great. If you think about something like a cheesecake or a flan or maybe a creme brulee, any of those custards, those pastries, the desserts that you want to make, you have that steam as well. You can make a cheesecake by covering it in your springform pan, turning it on steam, 205 degrees, and you're going to be able to cook that all the way through without having to worry about overcooking it and getting them cracks in your cheesecake. Then when you're done, you'll let it cool, and you'll have a perfect cheesecake every time. So remember that chat is open. If you got any questions in the chat, please put them in there so we can get to them. We're running, about 5-10 more minutes on this, me talking about the Wolf Convection steam oven for questions. So I just want to talk about a few other modes that they have on there that are really going to help you out in your cooking. So something with like the convection humid, and when you're using your little probe right here, like I said, it plugs in on the side, you're going to be able to do something like a meatloaf. You know, when you usually cover your meatloaf for the first 30-45 minutes and then you go to glaze it, you're not going to have to worry about covering it. You're going to have your temperature probe getting you up to that 185, 200 degrees that you bring your meatloaf to. But it's also going to hold all of that steam in to where you're not worried about it burning the top before the inside is done. That's another great thing with the convection humid, the temperature probe, easy cleaning. The real difference between when you get into that 30 and then the 24 inch is the single convection. That's going to be the big difference, and then the size. So one thing I want to say is if you're near a showroom, I would really, or if you aren't, even if you're not near a showroom and you want to check out one of these convection steam ovens, give us a call or come to the showroom. We're going to be able to show you one of these Wolf Convection steam ovens. And we'll also, if you're not close to one of the showrooms, we might be able to let you know what dealer is close to you that has one of the Wolf Convection steam ovens, so you can really get in here, play with the interface, see the inside, and really see how big this 30-inch cavity is. You can fit a 20-pound turkey in here, no problem, and be able to cook it with this large cavity. It really does serve as a second oven, and I find that you'll be using this Wolf Convection steam oven more than you're using your regular oven because how fast it heats up. Another thing it is, you're going to be able to use this for reheating food. It's not a microwave, but that is why it is good at reheating food. It's not pulling the moisture out and microwaving it like a microwave. It's bringing gentle, warm heat in with moisture to bring your food back to life. And say you did have something like a piece of tenderloin or steak that was cold and left over, you can bring it up slowly with the Wolf Convection steam oven with your probe to get that right to that 130, 135 degree range where you can keep your leftovers at that mid-rare medium without overcooking it. So it's great for reheating food. So it's going to basically take over that microwave. You're going to find yourself reheating food in here. Takes a few minutes longer, but the quality is going to be a lot better out of your convection steam oven than just trying to microwave something. It's great for thawing, cooking, steaming, hot or dry heat. It really can do just about anything you'd like. With that broil unit, you're going to be able to broil cheese on, say, something like a French onion soup or toast bread right in your oven with that broil unit. So it's really taking a bunch of different appliances and putting it in one to where you have all of these things that you can use with the wet and dry heat to make your life easier at cooking and promoting that dry and moist heat for your reheating. So if we don't have any more questions, that's about all I have. I want to thank you guys for coming to the virtual today. And if you have a showroom near you, I would love for you guys to get in on a chef's table or another introduction so you can really see up close and personal the size and what you're working with here. So until next time, thank you for joining in to the Roth culinary scene for Introduction to Wolf Convection Steam Oven.